Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Gospel of Comics. Seems like it has been forever since I've talked to you guys. And with me, as usual today, is my trusty co-host, Ayrton McCartney. How you doing today, buddy?
Good. Trusty. Are you sick?
Yes, always. In the head, though. Like, not physically, just in the head.
Oh, okay.
Quick shout out to Cartoon and Becky in the chat. How you doing, guys? Oh, me. How's your week been, man?
Oh, it's been long, especially today. Had a new hire, training for like 6 hours ish, 7 hours, whatever
Fun.
it was.
Shout out to Patty in the chat. How's it going? Matt Christie, turn my mic up. Can you not hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Matt saying my audio is not coming through. Let's just do a little adjusting here. What about now, Matt? How's it going? Any better? Becky, is the mic coming through? Anybody in the chat? I know you guys are on like a 20-second delay.
Come on, everybody.
Oh, he's way louder. Okay, that's better though. Okay, we got it going. All right. Yeah, I've had the settings in OBS like tweaked forever, but apparently because I can't go back and listen to the sound of my own voice, I've apparently been quiet and no one's mentioned it. Everyone apparently likes it that way. So I see.
Which is strange.
I see how it is. Everyone just wants me to shut up and let Ayrton run the show. Well, good luck, because he can't run OBS.
Oh, yeah. That would end well.
Oh, man. Okay, so...
You guys would have no images. It would just be a video of me in my recliner smoking my cigar every show.
Talking about Wolverine.
I
literally know nothing else about comics.
Hey, that is not entirely true, sir.
Before church, I literally knew nothing else about comics.
No, that's just my bread and butter.
Oh man, I'm just giving you a hard
time. I like rye bread. But, is that Mrs. Church laughing at us in the background?
Mrs. Church is laughing at something. I'm not sure we're that funny. Hey, I'm recording here, woman. She doesn't care. My one weekend is Father's Day. No respect. Rodney Dangerfield.
No respect.
Rodney Dangerfield up in here. But yeah, I can agree with you. It's been a long week. My IRL job has been very taxing. So, luckily I do have some interesting news for us in the comics world this week. I sent the list to Ayrton a little bit earlier. We have about 7 articles to go through. I figure we'll hit a couple of them and then jump into our reviews. If everybody in the chat likes the sound of that. Becky, I'm not going to fire Ayrton this early in the show. We don't have anybody else on the show this week, so.
Ha. Suck it.
Come on now, don't make me question my decision.
Isn't that my job?
I don't know. God help me if I ever have to start paying you. All right. So, the first thing I want to talk about, are you familiar with Spotify or the precursor to Spotify, Pandora?
Yes, I hate Pandora. Spotify's decent.
Why do you hate Pandora?
I don't it just anytime you pick a playlist, it never plays anything you actually want to hear. At least on Spotify, you can create a playlist, so you can create different ones with like different genres and bands, and depending on what kind of music you want to listen to. Pandora, you're just at the mercy of whatever they feel like, and it's always wrong.
Becky's offering to join the call, so I'll fire you. That's fantastic. Um, anyway, yeah, I hear you, but I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a minute. I think Pandora is actually, actually serves a purpose that you can't really get out of Spotify as much. I mean, sure, it has the same kind of algorithms in it, but when Pandora first started, it started based on the idea of what they call the Music Genome Project, and that was where they tried to build an algorithm that would predict music that you would like based on music you entered. So, of course, when you enter something like, I don't know, let's say you put Metallica in there because you have really bad taste. Um,
I was going to say Eric Clapton, but
Eric
go on.
Clapton, there we go. But you put Eric Clapton in there. Well, I mean, it could go off of several threads. But let's say you followed Eric Clapton up with something like Iron Maiden. And at that point, it would know you liked heavy guitar. It would know you liked, classical guitar. So it would kind of weave a thread. And it might suggest something jazzy. It might suggest something folksy. It might suggest something a little harder, like alternative rock. But it would build that algorithm, and I think that it worked really well because you could fine tune Pandora to where it wouldn't play anything except stuff you liked if you worked at it long enough. I think it's just that
Right.
people's attention spans are so short that Pandora just wasn't instantly gratifying enough. You
Well,
actually had to work on
okay,
it.
well, for someone like me, if I want to listen to Eric Clapton, don't want to hear Stevie Ray Vaughan, definitely don't want to hear that twat John Mayer. I want to hear Eric Clapton, maybe throw some BB King, maybe some John Lee Hooker, you
Peter
know.
Frampton. Anyway,
Right.
we're
Jeff Beck,
we're
but
we're
that
getting into
that
your
was my problem with it.
we're getting into your wheelhouse here, and that's not really fair to me. This is a comic show, not a music show. So, but with those two services, they suggest music you like based on music you put in. That's the gist of them. Well, now there's something like that for comic books. Apparently, a platform called Graphite picks titles for you based on your existing taste. So, the free digital service. I'm going to read through this article and gonna gonna talk about it a little bit. Ayrton and I are probably both gonna sign up for this and give you guys a
Probably.
review on it in the next week or two on how we feel about it. So
Well, week or three.
shut up, you're doing it.
No, I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna be gone in 2 weeks.
Shut up. I'll just get new Ayrton to do it. Whoever my new co-host is, I will name them Ayrton. There will be no change. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and start it here. Comic book fans have multiple digital options to choose from these days, with apps and independent manga and political cartoons, as well as libraries from giants like DC and Marvel. But the fractured nature of the business means readers have to visit several platforms to fill their needs. Enter Graphite, a free digital service from Graphic Comics that begins Tuesday and hopes to put all of that under one roof. The impetus of the impetus. That's a fucking $5 word. The impetus for the company is a simple one, said Michael Ing,
The
Graphite chief executive.
impetus.
Oh, impetus. Okay. I've never seen that word spelled out, believe it or not.
Huh.
Impetus. Impetus. I feel like it should be spelled differently. I don't know. Maybe an I in there besides at the beginning.
Yeah, like an IOUS or something.
Yeah, something. That seems like some old fucking Latin. Impetus. All right, I can read. Impetus for the company was a simple one, said Michael Ing, Graphite chief executive. There's no solution right now that serves comic books in all of its forms. The goal of the service is to offer digital comics from all formats, including the work of independent creators as well as major publishers, and make it all free. The content will include ads, but an ad-free service is also available for $4.99 monthly fee. Graphite also hopes to expand its audience of comic readers by offering material in 61 languages, but the biggest bet is artificial intelligence, which will suggest content based on their taste. So far, I like what I'm hearing. I may pull up their website in a separate window, and we may take a look at that here on the show. Um, I hadn't planned
Yeah,
on doing
definitely
that.
sound. I'm definitely intrigued by it. I'm all curious if like those 61 languages, if it's like the books are going to be translated, like you could read Green Lantern in German or something like that, or
I that would be interesting, but the way digital comics are made, I have a hard time wondering how you would pull that off. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Because I mean,
I'm just
it's
that
basically a
wording's just
text-based
funny.
image.
Like, yeah, the wording's just weird. Like what does that mean? You know?
All right. On other platforms, recommendations are typically offered by editors, said Tom Akel, Graphite Chief Content Officer. Ours takes into account your user behavior, what you've watched before, what pool of people around you has liked, and cross-reference the same way a Netflix algorithm will. Can you hear my wild-ass children? They're all supposed to be in bed.
Aren't they always supposed to be in bed and they're not?
Oh, hold on one second. I may have to go like make sure that they're not like jumping up and down and swinging from my ceiling fans. I just imagine them as
All right.
small monkeys when I don't see them. Like the noises that I hear coming from their bedrooms when they're supposed to be asleep. I'm just constantly worried that they're just being
L-
acrobats
little
on their
disconcerting.
furniture. Yeah, you walk in there and they're just reading a book or playing with a toy or something, but it just sounds like they're on this massive adventure. I miss having that imagination.
Right.
Anyway,
All right.
I think they're okay now. I think they heard me talking about them. Nope, they didn't. Anyway,
All right. You want me to take over
uh,
reading this?
yeah, go ahead and pick up the next paragraph or two, and
You're you're at the graphite team will also include Rick Strom. Is that where you're at?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I think I'm good. I think I'm okay. The
Okay.
Graphite team, which also includes Rick Strom as chief technology officer, is betting the potential for digital comic sales in the United States will grow the way they have in Japan. In 2017, digital sales in Japan climbed to 1.6 billion, and for the first time suppressed print sales, which are about 1.55 billion. So that's actually kind of a big deal. In the U.S., they've been talking
Yeah.
about how digital sales were supposed to be a huge thing for the comic book market, and they just never ended up being that. Digital sales have never ever threatened physical sales as far as anything in the physical market because 90% of comic creators want their comic books to, be physical, like not creators, but collectors want their comic books to be something they can hold in their hands, want something they can put in a bag and board and pull out whenever they want to read it. Even myself, as digital comics began to grow as a medium, I began to worry a little bit that you couldn't actually save comic books that were digital if the service went down. Like, what happens if
Right.
Comixology goes down to all of the digital comics I bought on their servers? Am I going to have the opportunity to download the ones that I can't back up now? Nobody knows. Nobody can answer that question. So, I don't know.
Right. And there's something about like physically holding the book in your hands
Right.
versus just swiping on a screen. Like I don't I have a harder time reading something if it's on a screen than if I actually physically have it. Like I've tried to read a Kindle book or something like that, and it's just I can't do it. It just I don't know, something about it. I just can't do it.
Right. All right. Why don't you go ahead and take over for just a second? I will be right back.
All right. So, overall sales in the United States and Canada in 2018 were 1.1 billion, according to estimates by ICV2. I'm not sure what that stands for. An online publication that covers pop culture and Comic-Con, an online research resource for comics research. Digital sales accounted for around 100 million, up about 10 million from 2017, but relatively flat the previous few years, which makes sense. If I think the culture of comic books is different over here, more of the collector sort of thing than over in Japan with the manga, where it's more read for the stories and the tentacles. But we continue.
I'm back.
Quote, even though, okay, I, I slipped in a tentacle reference. I don't know if you had caught that.
I didn't. I didn't. I'm kind of
Okay.
glad for it. Where were you at?
The quote underneath the next
Oh,
paragraph
by all
after
means,
what you were reading.
by all means, continue. I'm
Oh,
interested to see if there are any more tentacle
all right.
references that will come up.
Well, I can squeeze them in. You know, it might be a little tight, but I think I can do
Oh man, you're trying to get
it.
fired at this point, aren't you?
I'm pushing the boundaries a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Even though the download to own numbers haven't been growing, the subscription side of the business has been, said Milton
Gar-
Griep?
uh,
Garup?
yeah, whatever. I want to say that this is
Who cares?
J.F. Garapi's older brother, chief executive of ICV2. But no, the download to own numbers haven't been growing because, like I said, nobody really wants to put money in having something when you can just sign up for 2 months, read everything they have, read everything they have, or read as much as you want to and not worry about losing your files when the service initially goes down or whatever. They switch
Right.
comics or whatnot. Because eventually server space is going to become an issue if sales don't increase. At least in my opinion.
Yeah.
Marvel was a pioneer.
Well, then what are you
Oh,
gonna?
go ahead.
Oh, I was if you're downloading hundreds, thousands of comics, what are you gonna do? Have like multiple hard drives for like the different like one hard drive of Marvel, one of DC, one, one of Image for like those really serious collectors?
What are you
Like
trying?
it's I don't know.
Are you trying to get
Just
personal now? Like that's how I do
you have
it.
separate external hard drives for each one. I thought you just had different folders.
I mean, no. At one point, see, one of my externals actually did die out, but it was getting to that point where I was going to have to separate one for Marvel, one for DC, and one for Independence. Yeah.
But was that really the same as having them in the long boxes, organized, and being able to actually see them?
No, absolutely not. And that's why I still buy physical comics and still build on my old collections and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean that there's not, a market for having digital comics, especially as far as availability goes. Like, imagine trying to find, like you were talking about wanting to read a comic for tomorrow's show that, I mean, that's what, a couple $1,000s to find a beat up reader copy?
True.
So, I mean, I think the digital comics
There
are
there's definitely a utility to it.
right. I think the digital comics are definitely the way of the future as far as reading the old material because the printers can't just continuously
I'll
print
give you that.
reprints. Printers can't just continuously print reprint volumes for people that want to read the histories that can't afford the original issues. But if you can upload them
True.
digitally and charge a subscription base to read them, then you can maintain that history without having to sacrifice readership. And I think
Yeah.
that's really where the importance of a service like this could lie. But let's continue and
Yeah, and
get get through
yeah,
this.
yeah. Go on.
Marvel was a pioneer in the subscription model with Marvel Unlimited, which began back in 2007. It was an archive of back issues and had new releases were added 6 months after they were sold in stores. The DC Universe service, which began last year, offers comics as well as past film, television shows, and original streaming series. But its future is reportedly being evaluated in the wake of the acquisition of Time Warner DC parent company by AT&T. Neither Marvel nor DC is among the initial publishers of Graphite, but Mr. Ink said he hoped to include them eventually, which doesn't bother me at all. Like, I care more about independent comics right now than I do DC um,
Yeah.
and Marvel. But how much you want to bet AT&T gets rid of DC's like holdings and sells them to Disney, and Disney just becomes more of a fucking internet or an entertainment monster than it already is?
Then we're gonna have some weird event where the DC and Marvel universes like collide and merge into one, and then
Oh,
it's going to be a huge clusterfuck.
oh, you mean like amalgam that has already happened in the '90s? Are you is that?
No, no, no. I'm saying where you have like not like where they're mixed like the characters. You're going to have like Hulk and Superman in the same universe.
Oh, you mean like the amalgam universe when that happened?
Well, like when they did the versus thing.
Yeah,
Is that where you?
yeah.
Yeah,
Hulk
but
and
I'm talking
Superman
like
literally fought,
ongoing.
and Batman and Bruce Wayne have been in this, or Batman and Bruce Banner have been in the story together.
Yes, but I'm talking like the universes will be permanently fused,
Oh God,
like
no,
going forward, not just.
no. I think even
That's what I was
SJW,
referring to.
I think even SJW fans would revolt at that. All three of them. All right. Uh. Anyway, we have so much premium content and brands and franchises the public recognizes and loves. There's no lack of things here that audience are not already familiar with, he said. Graphite will include traditional publishers like Boom Studios, Dynamite, Papercuts, Tokyo Pops, and IDW, as well as a number of popular webcomics. The service will premiere with more than 10,000 series and offer a selection to devoted young readers with parental controls. Besides DC and Marvel, Graphite faces other established competitors. Among them are Comixology, which is owned by Amazon, Crunchyroll for manga and anime, Go Comics for comic strip political cartoons, and Webtoon, a mobile first platform for webcomics. I mean, there's not really a whole lot of competition for this kind of service. Comixology really is the only one on that
Right.
list. I mean, I can see where they're coming from because they're mixing so many different mediums together that they see all of these as competition. But
Yeah.
the thing that I think is if you're offering all of this content together in one place, they should see you as competition because more people are going to take this app as a convenience factor than having these other four apps. I mean, even if they only had one or two of
Right.
them, I would rather have it all rolled into one. Now that really depends on the ad interaction. Like I said, I'm going to download this probably immediately after the show and see what it's all about. I may even go ahead and hit subscribe for it. Hopefully, they have like a free trial. That might be interesting.
Yeah. I'll
But
probably do the free version with the ads just to see kind of what that interaction is like with them.
well, yeah, I'm just wondering how the if they offer a trial, like a 2 week trial without the ads to kind of entice you to do it, because that's the most effective
Right.
marketing strategy that I've ever seen work on me. If you give me the opportunity to take ads away for free and then immediately smack them back on, oh man, I can't stand it. It's like that stupid YouTube premium trial where they just give it to you without ads. And I'm like, shit, this is so good. I can listen to it in the background on my iPad and my phone. And then, you just,
And don't have to hear those obnoxious O'Reilly's ads.
oh God. No, man, I only get ads for lawyers now thanks to Nick Ricada. It's really ridiculous. Like, yeah, I get accident attorneys and shit. Like Nick Ricada needs to do ads on YouTube so that he gets my money from Brave, so that he gets my money from ad revenue, and he gets whatever money I Patreon to him. So, Shout out Nick Ricada having some Glenlivet Nadura on his recommendation tonight. Anyway, but publishers said they were eager to work with the new platform and a way to reach more readers. Philip Sablik, the president of publishing and marketing for Boom, said that he had no fears of cannibalizing businesses from other platforms like Comixology. We've had free content. There's a 2-year-old in the midst. We've had free content available for multiple years, and it hasn't cut into our Comixology business. In fact, it has continued to grow. Graphite, Mr. Sablik said, is another opportunity to expand Boom's audience. If you're going to appeal to a wider audience, you need to have more than 2 flavors of ice cream. You might even need more than just ice cream. So that's probably one of the more interesting stories that I've seen in this week. I've got a few more up here, but let's just kind of like contemplate on that for a minute. What do you think about this? I mean, this could be big.
Yeah, I'm interested about the algorithm part of suggesting other comics to read based off of what you like, because Comixology kind of does that a little bit, right?
Right. And I agree with Matt Christie in the
Yeah.
chat. He said, I'm gonna have to wrangle this child again, aren't I? Oh, I love her to death. She just wants to be famous. She probably got more followers on YouTube than I do. Anyway, he said it's like comics as a service, just like what they've been doing to gaming with free to play games and pay to win content. I I don't disagree with that, except why do I have this picture of these dudes up here? It's supposed to be the title. There we go. I don't disagree with that, but I also think that, like I
Because
said,
it's Pride Month.
there's a need for that kind of thing simply because you have oh my goodness, but simply because you have like I said, so many readers that are never going to get an opportunity to read volume ones. Okay, I'll be right back. Just make fun of Becky or something while I'm gone. Give her a hard time.
Okay. You heard him, Becky. I have to, or else I might get fired if I don't pick on you now. But no, I think it'll be interesting, especially being able to easily get a hold of those back issues from way far back, like uh, Gold and Silver Age comic stories and stuff like that. Like, Comixology does have that stuff, but you have to pay for the issues. So if it's totally free, uh, even with ads, depending on how annoying they are, I think it would be really good, especially if someone like really wants to dive into like the history of Batman or Superman and go way far back to the beginning. It's I think this will be a great tool, even with the subscription, which I think they said is going to be like $4.99
Yeah, that's just to
or
get rid of
something
the
like that.
ads, though, right?
Yeah, which I mean really isn't that bad of a monthly fee if you're really diving in deep, like going all the way back to the beginning of Batman all the way till today. If there's somebody that wants to do something like that easily, I think this would be a great tool to do that.
Well, I mean, obviously, if they get DC, but you know,
Right. Uh, just an example of a long running character that the utility of this would be nice for.
right? No, I don't. Like I said, I don't disagree, but like I said, I think it's very important to have those back issues that are, especially the key issues that people collect in mass and buy multiple
Yeah.
copies of. Yeah, no, you're not wrong, Matt. I like I said, I think it's just yeah, you get what we're saying. True collectors and true fans are still always going to have a desire to buy physical issues. Um, there are plenty of places that I can get the entire series of ROM Space Knight for free, or read them for free or whatever. But I've went and sought out every single issue of the Volume One just for my personal collection because ROM Space Knight is one of my favorite series. Legion of Superheroes. Anytime I see a book with the Legion of Superheroes in it, if I can afford it, I buy it. So stuff like that is never really going to change with true collectors. But at the same
Well, yeah,
time,
I'm going to, once I have some extra money, start scouring eBay for all of adolescent radioactive black belt hamsters for my collection.
right?
So, so, which reading digitally is fun, but I would love to have those on my shelf.
No, absolutely. I don't know. I think it's a really interesting service. I think it'll really give kind of a punch to Comixology and keep that whole business model running. Um, I don't know why it jumps every time I swap out of OBS. That's weird. I've eventually got to learn how to use OBS. That's one of the main things.
YouTube it.
There's a playlist that I have downloaded to watch. I just haven't had time.
Understandable.
My 2-year-old is not happy about being put in bed. No. Oh god damn it! Are you kidding me?
Uh-oh.
Boomer hour here, folks. I forgot to show the overflow bar, which is what allows me to scroll on this article. Let's fix that real quick. There we go. Yeah, they automatically code the CSS like to take away the scroll bar for these articles, even though you can't interact with them if they do that. So
I thought you fixed that. Does it keep putting it back?
yeah, it's an automatic addition. I haven't figured out how to take it out yet.
Huh. Weird.
But anyway, this is kind of a little bit of a shout out to Alterna Comics and Peter Samedi. Um, I've constantly given him props about bringing back affordable comics, and Marvel, even to a certain degree, has kind of had a good job recently of doing that. But DC has been out of the fray, and now they're bringing back their dollar comics format. Um, Are you familiar at all with that? Like, I know you're not a big DC guy, but what do you know about the cheaper comics that have been coming out? I know you recently bought some Alterna comics. You want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah. So after we did that pick a publisher thing, just two of the stories, Unit 44 and why am I blanking on it? The mystery one.
The Unit 44,
Yeah, Midnight Mysteries. That was the other one.
Midnight Mysteries, and
So,
Unit 44, right?
yeah. So those first issues that we read digitally from Comixology were just so fantastic. I had to go purchase the rest of the stories, and they're fantastic. $1.50 each,
Right.
which is less than half of what a new comic costs.
Yeah.
And
Some titles today come out at $5.99 off the rack.
yeah,
Like people
and
have given comic.
they're fantastic. They're printed on newsprint, part of what brings the cost down. And something about flipping through the newsprint takes me back to being a kid and reading the comic strips on the newspaper when my grandpa was done reading.
Yep.
When he would be here.
Oh man, and the Sunday paper. The Sunday paper was the best with that full color 2-page comic spread.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I would always, because he would go out and get a paper every single day when he would be here, And when he was done with it, I get the comic section, read through the strips, and they were shipped perfectly.
Yeah,
Came perfect
talk
condition.
talk about
Took
that. Give everybody a reason to go check out Alterna Comics and get some direct comics shipped to you if you don't have an LGS close to you or an LCS close to you.
yeah. I mean, really, the biggest thing is just that cost. I got how many comics did I get?
I think it was
8.
7 or 8. Yeah,
Yeah, it was like 8 comics for $12.
right.
Uh, one full series. Unit 44 hasn't finished yet. They still have one more issue, and then I grabbed another first issue just because it looked interesting. And it was $12 for all of those, and they shipped. They got here in a little over a week. It was great. Um, they shipped them four comics per bag and board in a nice heavy cardboard mailer with a board on either side. Very well protected. You don't worry about like the money going to waste and
So
like the comics being damaged in the mail.
so they didn't
Like,
run them through a washing machine before they sent them to you, really?
yeah, exactly.
Wow, that's impressive.
But yeah, I can't speak highly enough about Alterna. I'm definitely actually in my order. I got a let's see, the 2019 checklist, and
Yep.
it has listed out going out to December what's coming out when. So you can plan ahead. You can even pre-order. I think a month out. I believe you can pre-order
Yeah.
from them, and they'll ship it to you. So if there's a story like the Unit 44 that I mentioned, you can pre-order that, have it slotted, and it'll come right to your door. You don't got to go deal with socially awkward people at the comic book store or drive 15 miles like I have to go to my local comic book store. They'll show
Right.
up right at your door, and it's great.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody should check that out. But that's enough shilling. That was not a paid advertisement from Alterna. I just really have a lot of respect for what
Unless they want to give me money, I'll
if
take
they
it.
us money, Ayrton, 50-50. Remember,
Us. Sorry. What? Sorry.
I'll fire you. I'll take all the money. um, DC Dollar Comic format is returning after 36 years at the same price but with a smaller page count. Beginning on September 4th, the publisher will be reprinting special issues from its history as $1 reprints. You're a little behind. Marvel's been doing greatest, or what is it, True Believers for 2-3 years now. Special issues from its history as $1 reprint, similar to Image Comics Image First. There's another one that did it before them. I didn't even think about that one, but yeah, I've definitely got number ones from Image First, uh, and Marvel Comics Two Believers imprint. The line will begin with Detective Comics number 854, September 4th, Batman 608, September 11th, Harley Quinn number 1, September 18th, and Crisis on Infinite Earth on September 25th. I will be getting all of these because I always buy the dollar comic to support the idea. As much as I have a problem with
Right.
DC and Marvel and all that, I always buy the dollar comics to make sure that they at least get that sale because I really believe that needs to be done. Uh, this is a little bit of history for you guys. The Dollar Comics line was originally instituted in 1977 as a deluxe 64-page anthology title with new material and no ads, such as Adventure Comics, Batman Family, and World's Finest Comics, and the DC Special Series. At the time, the comics averaged 35 cents in price, so these $1 quadruple-sized comics were intended by then DC publisher Jeanette Kahn for their comic books to catch up in price to other newsstand periodicals such as Time and Life. The line ran off and on before ending in 1983. So, it kind of goes to show that the market's always had a little bit of a problem bearing such a price hike and competing with other media. But I don't know. You have any thoughts on that?
I'll probably check it out. I don't know if I'll necessarily buy all of them, but I might grab Crisis on Infinite Earth. Maybe what was it, Detective Comics?
Yeah, yeah, that was, I believe, the first appearance of Batwoman in comics.
Yeah, so those two sound the most interesting, but I'll at least grab a couple of them. Same reason, support the idea
Yeah.
of doing this, and they do. It does sound kind of interesting to check out.
Well, like I said, they don't ever even print the full series. Like they'll print one shots and stuff in Marvel's True Believers or number one for Image First. Um, Alterna, they just give you all their comics for $1.50 each because they're the real MVPs. But like I said, enough shilling for those guys. Um, I like that they're doing key issues and not the entire series because I like that, say when you buy Crisis on Infinite Earths number one, you decide you like it enough that you go up and pick a trade of it up. I mean, that increases sales of trades, and a trade is a comic book, in my opinion. It's not the medium as I've come to be used to it, but if that's
Yeah,
the evolution of the medium, I have no problem with it. Doug TenNapel, think what you will of him with all the Comicsgate crap going on. He put out a beautiful project and a beautiful product with Bigfoot Bill. It was hardbound, it was embossed.
yeah,
Um,
and
you
as
can.
I've said before, I prefer kind of buying trades, at least for like back issue stories, because it's easier than trying to track down every single issue of a storyline.
Well, it's much cheaper too in some cases. I remember
Well,
for the
that
longest
too.
time, Secret Wars number 8 was a $300 book. I think it's
Damn.
dropped down. It's dropped down a lot recently. I picked up mine in the collection for real cheap, based on price per book. But
Yeah.
Secret Wars number 8 for the longest time was a $300 comic. I don't know what it is now, but it's not a cheap book, so it's hard to complete the Secret Wars storyline, even if you don't have that kind of disposable income to spend on a comic book.
Yeah. What is it about issue number 8 that makes it
The first appearance of the Black
cost
Suit,
so much? Uh,
Spider-Man's Venom symbiote.
okay.
It's the first appearance of
Yeah.
that outfit. It wasn't even the
Oh,
symbiote
okay.
then. I mean, they kind of wrote the story to happen like that, but it wasn't anything
Yeah.
spectacular. It wasn't Venom yet, so to speak.
Right.
But yeah, it's good to see them finally catching up. I think that they're noticing that those books are actually finally selling in the market. And, this is one of my favorite articles that I've found this week. Not because it's really important to comic books or it has anything to do with any of that, but this is just hilarious. Uh, Australian police seize drugs from comic books used in smuggling ring. All I want to know is where's Randbot
I
right
did
now.
enjoy this.
Randbot out here slinging ice in comic books. Those damn Aussies fighting kangaroos. I do hate when they do this.
Well, and losing to emus.
Well, they didn't lose to the emus. The government did.
True.
So I hear you pouring something. What are you pouring?
I am pouring another pint.
Oh, okay. Having a Guinness, are we?
Of course. Got to save the scotch till tomorrow.
All right, all right.
Special episode tomorrow, everybody.
Yeah.
Just keep that in mind.
Tales from the Back Issue Bin, brought to you by Scotch.
Exactly.
So, where do you hide your meth? Apparently, hollowed out comic books are a great place. Australian police uncovered an international drug smuggling ring that utilized comic books to illegally move 3 kilograms of methamphetamine, also known as ice, from the United States to Australia. The drug's worth totaled more than $1 million. 9 properties across several Gold Coast towns were raided, leading to the discovery that also included cannabis and other unnamed illegal items.
which, you know, a little impressive, right?
I mean, I gotta say, it's smart.
Like,
And
you got to at least give them a little bit of credit for pulling that off as
I've
much as they did.
I've seen drugs in video games. I've seen drugs in toys. Never comic books.
In orifices,
Well, usually it's in balloon
orify.
or boxing or orphans. Drugs and orphans. Is that bad? That's bad. Um.
Depends on the orphan.
Oh, shut up, Sargon. All right. The alleged ringleader is a 49-year-old Gold Coast man who traveled to the U.S. more than a dozen times since October 2018 and arranged for the drugs to be secured in the comic books. 9 others were charged in the smuggling ring along with their leader. I love how Gold Coast even sounds like it's out of a comic
Kind of does.
book. So we think it's coming from Southern California, and as you'll appreciate, that is very close to the international border of Mexico and such. Detective Inspector Brendan Smith said. Fucking based. Smith also stated that his team is working with Homeland Security and local American police in the case. Charges totaled 40 crimes, including trafficking and supplying dangerous drugs, money laundering, importing a border restricted drug, possession of dangerous drugs, stealing, possessing of drug utensils, possession and proceeds of a drug offense, drug gumbo, drug creole, drug kebab, drug sandwich,
Drug tamale.
drugs in comics. I mean, Jesus. Smith also stated this operation has dismantled a significant criminal network and removed over 30,000 hits off Queensland streets. This isn't the first time comics were used as a vessel for shipping
Jeez.
illegal drugs. Jesus, why am I not hearing about this until now? Back in 2009, two brothers in Denver ran a drug ring that distributed millions of dollars of methamphetamines in first editions of Batman and Superman books encased in protective plastic cover. One book was reportedly worth about $3,500. Why comics? Seems the thought process is that it could easily distributed by courier or mailing service and the packages would not be torn apart, especially if they contained issues worth a chunk of change. With more than one drug ring using comics, though, who knows if this changes how books are shipped and if more stringent laws for packing and claiming contents will be added. As for the comics, once items are seized in raids like this, they are held as evidence until the charges are handled in court and sentencing is complete. Most evidence is destroyed afterwards. If the smugglers hollowed out the books, it's probably not even worth the risk for law enforcement comic fans to sneak a few copies for their own collections. That's a weird line to include,
Yeah.
but I mean, I can't say that I wouldn't want a hollowed out drug comic book just to have for the novelty of it. I can kind of get
Right.
that.
Oh yeah. That would be fan. I would have that framed, hanging on the wall with the backstory of it and like a plaque on the frame. Like museum style.
This comic had drugs in it.
Well, like the whole story, like the person that shipped it, what they were shipping, how they got caught. A quick little like paragraph blurb about where it came from and what it's seen.
All right. Well, um, I just thought that was entertaining. We've got some more news, but let's break it up and go on to reviews for now. What do you think?
All right.
So
Sounds good to me. We're about an hour in.
yeah, we're a little under. Um, so this week, as we have been doing on Saturdays, we both picked a comic from different publishers. So far, they've usually been like number ones. I really like that, I get to read different stuff because of this, especially having to read some things that I wouldn't normally. Um, I'm
Yeah.
eventually gonna. get on a habit of this, but I want to start reading, regular series again. So we'll have to. Well, where are these extra hours that people have in the day? Can I get some of those?
Well, you also have kids, so
Yeah, yeah. I'm just kidding. I love my kids. They're fantastic. They don't ever give you five.
hellions.
They don't ever give you 5 seconds of downtime, but it's all right because eventually they're going to grow up and never want to call you because unless they need money. They haven't asked me for money
Right.
yet, so their love is still pure. But anyway, what did you pick this week to look at? I already know, but why don't you briefly talk about it for
Yeah.
the
So I picked Sonata. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it,
that's how I
but it's a
pronounce it.
number one from. All right, it's a number one from Image Comics. Story by David Hine and Brian Haberlin.
Hmm.
Art also by Brian Haberlin. Colors by Jared
Gerard Van Dyke.
Van D- Gerard Van Dyke. Letters by Francis Takanaga.
Takanaga.
Yeah, I'm not going to read the rest of that.
The developer, David Pence. Sorry. I got a little
And
excited there.
this and this story is kind of like Avatar, but if it was actually an interesting movie.
Really? I didn't get that from it. I didn't get Avatar from it. I got
That
more of
there were
a
some bits of it that I got from it.
more of a settlers thing. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
Well, that's why I said Avatar, but if it was more interesting.
yeah, okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah, 'cause
So
I don't know about you, but I thought Avatar was boring as hell
it was
and was so dumb when it
it
came out.
it was pretty.
Oh yeah, it looked good, but, but that was about it.
So let's
But
you got the screen share up. I'm just gonna make sure you're good with the pages because you're talking about this one. I know you want to talk about that page.
hold on, let me get the screen share up. I was uh, over on the article list still.
Professional quality
I
here,
think my
folks.
screen. Yeah, I think my screen share has a delay. It still has the drug smuggling screen up.
There we go. We'll do this.
All right, we're doing it live.
No, this is all pre-recorded. It's just so bad. Those
Now see, we
two,
script. How?
those two pages work for you. Like I said, you pick this book here. You're going through it.
Yeah, yes, it's still blank. There it
What?
is. Yes.
Okay.
No, it popped up. Just took
Okay.
a second.
All right.
Yes, fantastic.
All right. All right. Go ahead.
So we're introduced to this planet's Perdita? Perdita? I don't know, how would you say it?
You picked this book. One day you're gonna have to be prepared.
Does doesn't I am prepared. I just don't know how to pronounce the stuff.
Perdita.
Okay, Perdita. We'll go with that. So, and I once every cycle, this planet is close enough to the home world of this race of basically humans called the Ran. And they're fairly peaceful, as it says in here, optimistic people. And their world is used up. So they're slowly kind of migrating over here and trying to set up a colony and try and save their people, basically. And it opens with this girl named Sonata, who is a flyer on a creature, as you see there, called a thermosaur. I really should try to practice pronouncing these words beforehand.
Yeah, it might help if you're going to be talking about it later.
Yeah, So she gets on her thermosaur named Key and goes to escort the most recent transport of colonists in a rain and lightning storm.
Right.
Uh, and there's some, I don't know if these are just creatures, like just random animals on there
They're
on the
they're
planet, or if they're like a sub race. It doesn't really explain it.
no, they're savage wild animals. It does explain it kind of later on that they've been cleared out of the area. They're wild animals that hunt in packs. The dark troll cats or whatever. I read it
It
yesterday. I
doesn't
can't
mean they're not
remember.
some sort of like, yeah, but it also wakes one of these just beautifully designed creatures called the sleeping giants. Just these
That
massive,
that was what I wanted you to get
imposing
to.
creatures.
Matt in the chat says
Yeah,
that it looks like Malbolgia from Spawn, and he hit that right on the head. It reminds me of like first off, I get kind of the feeling of Titan from Attack on Titan. Like it just has
yeah,
that imposing feel of it, and then I move on to the Eldrazi and the giant gods of Ravnica, just from Magic the Gathering lore, and then just it's such a beautifully designed creature. It's muted so that you can tell it's kind of behind the fog, so it's even further away than the
yeah.
perception would let us think it is. And it's just this is just such a gorgeous page. The artwork in this book, I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
it's amazing. I don't necessarily know how I feel about the story so much. I mean, it's not bad. It's interesting. But it has the
yeah,
potential to be very virtuous and very, very, very political at a certain point because I can. And again, I think I'm just getting jaded. I think I'm just getting old and jaded, and I'm
yeah.
seeing shit a lot of places where I wouldn't have before all this shit came to the forefront. So I try
Right.
really hard not to judge based on it, but when you come out and you make a big deal out of having a patriarch or a matriarchal society, and having a race with the leader as a man be the bad guys and be subverting the humans, and then your overarching narrative is the good guys are immigrating to a planet because they have no resources. I mean, seems a
But
little
at the
on the
same time,
nose.
the bad guys are immigrating there too because they need resources.
Yes, and
So
everybody's shitting
it's
on the native. What does that sound like to you?
sounds like the French and Indian War, but
Oh shit.
we'll skip through. I don't know if you want to bring up. Well, technically, it's page 10 in the physical copy. Is a pretty cool shot. Um, but I'm gonna kind of skip through it because a lot of it's kind of world building and exposition. Uh, for a good while, kind of explains who these people are,
Yeah, and
what they're doing there.
well, one thing I did want to touch on
Go ahead.
is, you know,
Yes, that one. Go back one.
okay, that one there.
Nope. Where she's flying into the
Yep,
city.
I got you.
Back one. Yeah, back one more page.
Still back one? That one? Yeah, okay.
Nope. Yeah, that one right there on the left.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
we'll
Okay.
we'll introduce each of everybody to the bad guys. Ooh, we'll do that one too. Talk about the dam.
Yeah.
All right. There we go.
Yeah. So we're Yes. So again, great art. Like the shot of her flying back into like their colony, I guess, for lack
It
of a better term,
it's almost
is
like it's almost more painting than traditional comic art because there are no hard lines. Everything's are
yeah.
is a soft edge. It all looks natural. It's beautiful. This is some of the most beautiful artwork I've seen in a long time.
Oh yeah. The designs of everything, the designs of the thermosaurs, if that's
Yeah.
how you say it,
Well, I mean, yeah,
is cool.
it is. It's very steampunkish. I mean, the design stuff is not anything that I haven't seen before. I think it's the way that it's done and the art style. It gives me a very
Yeah.
Alex Ross sense of feeling without his hypersensitive shading. It's not hyper realistic, but it's still very beautifully done and rendered. So it's a happy medium between traditional comic art and Alex Ross hyper realistic painting covers. But the fact that
Yeah.
someone did this through the entire book, I mean, good God.
Yeah. Yeah,
Anyway,
and the
continue.
entire
Sorry.
book is like this. But yeah, so we meet the native population who I don't remember what they're called, and I'm not seeing
The
their name on this page.
Lungai.
Yeah, something like that.
Um,
And um, basically, they meet with Sonata's father. Oh, Lumani. There it
yeah,
is. I
Lumani.
found it.
Okay.
So they meet with her father to talk about how the main river
Totally
going through.
professional here, folks. We definitely know what we're doing.
Oh yeah,
I
but
actually do know things about
t-
the book that I reviewed.
well, I, I I mean, I've read it,
I know. I'm just fucking with you.
but this was also several days ago.
Oh, yeah. See,
So
you gotta review the material the day of the show. That's the only way. If
yeah,
if you
well,
if you don't,
I
you just come in here
work 10
stumble.
hours.
Yeah, no excuses. 3 kids.
Anyways, so they talk about how this other race of humans, I guess, for lack of a better term, the Tayan.
Yeah, I'm wondering, and
Uh,
let me interject real quick. Do you think that the overall reveal is this is going to be Earth in the far flung future, like post apocalyptic? These are the like new settlers of Earth.
I don't know if they're gonna do that.
'Cause that would be the mind fuck of the whole thing, wouldn't it? Like this is Planet of the Apes style shit. Like the Earth was in an apocalypse, the human race evacuated because the world was dying off, and then the Earth is repopulated by humans in a far flung future when they've forgotten about it. Very Battlestar Galactic-y.
Yeah, it could be interesting. I don't know if I'd like it if they actually ended up going that route, but it could be interesting.
No.
But so the tie-in have basically dammed up the main waterfall and river that's supplying both the Ran and the Lumani's settlements, I guess, for
Right. It
lack of
was
a better term. And
filtering to their irrigation systems.
yeah, and so they send a group of them over to try and diplomatically solve the problem,
Hmm.
which
Doesn't
surprise,
work out
surprise,
so
doesn't
well.
work.
Yeah. Um,
And I'm just going to kind of keep skipping through a little bit, unless you wanted to bring something up.
oh no, I just wanted to talk about their diplomatic relations here. First off, let's just talk about how, like, I know you don't watch Game of Thrones, but let's just talk about how this guy is Ramsay Bolton's father, um, Bruce Bolton from Game of Thrones. Like, he's drawn that pointy nosed, sunken eyes asshole with like a half crescent of hair. Like
Pointy nose.
yeah, like he's just like he's just a bad guy. Like you look at it, he is the bad guy, and that's just it's so fantastic that that's so on the nose.
Yeah.
Like literally on the nose.
And there's the one dude with the Skrillex haircut and the scars on his face.
Right. These are your bad guys. They're all wearing black eye makeup and scowling with an evil scowl and a high collar. But
Yeah.
you know, they basically get told to go fuck off and get some more water. In fact, why don't you guys just move before we kill you? That's literally what happens.
Right.
So they go back, and their matriarch is like, "No, we don't succumb to violence. But you know what's not seen as violence? Let's blow up their dam."
Well, it's like Dukes of Hazzard. Take revenge on property, not people.
That doesn't work.
That's
People
that's
like
what
their
that's what Uncle Jesse always told Bo and Duke. Never take revenge on the people, just their property. So you can shoot exploding arrows at their shit, just not at them.
Yeah, well, this is where I think we should end it up. I don't want to give away the entire ending of the story, but I figure we'll show that these two guys, they definitely had it. They were definitely going to be able to control this explosion and not blow the entire dam at once. But obviously that doesn't happen, and they flood the entire fucking valley. So good on you, gentlemen. You guys really know what the fuck you're doing with that controlled demolition. Obviously, they should have got the guys that did 9/11 to do the demolition of the
Right.
fucking dam. Because goddamn, if they couldn't pull
Do
it
you
off
do you have the
perfectly.
sudden do you have the sudden urge to quote Obi-Wan Kenobi from A New Hope?
No, you go ahead
Oh,
and do it.
all right.
You go ahead and do it. I don't know what quote you're talking about.
These blast points too accurate for sand people.
uh, you're not wrong. This is great scotch, by the way. I'm getting a little little loose here. Sorry about the rant on the 9/11 being a job about explosions, but that was a joke. Please don't deplatform us. I'll just clip that out later.
Yeah. Edit it out when
we'll edit this in post.
But overall, I see where you're coming from. Where I am kind of like on my toes, kind of walking on eggshells with bits of this story. But it's intriguing.
Real quick,
yeah.
Thanks Matt Christie for coming out, man. We appreciate it. You're gonna come back and join us again.
Thanks, man.
Every Saturday and Sunday. So anyway, yeah, continue.
Sometimes Fridays.
Sometimes we're gonna try earlier in the week.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But I saw the same things you did. I don't think I'm necessarily as jaded about it as you are. I'm definitely cautious, but I think this is another one, same as Killer Groove. I'm definitely going to at least buy the next couple issues and kind of see where they take it.
Right.
And if it gets, because I'm definitely intrigued by this story.
Yeah.
Especially the ending, which I'm not going to give away.
Right. This is as close as you're going to get to the ending from us. Is during the explosion and the incoming water, they wake up and are surprised about something. So her Lumani friend and her are knocked into something, and they see something. So that's what I was going to give away for the ending. But yeah, I just wanted to make a point about the damn explosion because that was the funniest shit in the world. No, I definitely got it. And as soon as you read that an author
Yeah.
wrote that, he might as well have written it. He might as well have written it and been like, "Oh no, I definitely don't got this.
got it. I ain't got
He ain't got it. He didn't have it at all ever."
it. But yeah, I'm definitely intrigued by this one. I'm gonna keep up with it. Issue 2 comes out next month. I'm, I'll definitely be grabbing it when it comes out.
Yeah, well, we might have to do a recap on the issues that we liked and see how the series turned out after they're done. That might be something we do.
That yeah, that could be fun.
Um, no, anyway, I've got a different book. I didn't know what to expect from the book that I picked. I mean, obviously, if you've read the Cryon, you already know what it is. But I didn't really know what to expect from Edgar Rice Burroughs' Carson of Venus, Warlord of Mars, #1. I half expected to see Tarzan in this comic book. I was I was not disappointed that I didn't, but I definitely was braced for it.
Yeah, I was kind of curious if anyone else was gonna pop in at, at any point too.
Um, for those of you who are unfamiliar, Edgar Rice Burroughs has done the John Carpenter Warlord of Mars novel series and stories for decades. Um, it's just some of that old. I believe that character may be in the public domain. I'm not sure. Maybe not. Um, but
Really, John Carter's that old?
it's really old. Let's see.
I knew
Uh,
it was old. I didn't realize it was that old.
doing it live, folks. Anybody that's still listening, thanks for hanging out.
You guys are the real MVPs.
You really are. I mean, we come on and put the show on, but you guys sticking around and watching us two idiots talk about stuff, we love you for that, and we will always love you for that. Nah,
Yes,
man,
we will give all of you mouth kiss. Oh, go ahead.
1875 to 1950. So
Oh, damn.
yeah, he wrote some shit back in 1911, but A Princess of Mars came
All
out in
right then.
1912, the Barsoom series. So yeah, John Carter's old as fuck. Anyway,
I did not realize that. Damn. All right.
but yeah, this kind of goes back into just some of the old, like, I don't even know what you'd call them, just periodicals where you'd have short stories about the Shadow and John Carter and the Blue Beetle. Because the Blue Beetle used to be a cop, like in the old radio show, it was a cop.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah, old school shit. But the one thing that I did like about
Nice.
this, and the reason that I picked it for this week, is because it's American Mythologies uh, Productions, the publisher. And I had forgotten that this was actually a publisher when we were talking about how comics were in American mythology. So obviously, we're not the only one that shares this view.
Yeah. As soon as I saw that on the cover, I was like, ah,
Uh
nice
huh.
tie-in.
Uh huh. See what I did there? Totally, totally planned. Anyway, I'd also like to give a shout out to Jesse from the Dead Man's Tome and Becky. Right now, his Patreon supporters are able to watch him do a shot challenge where his wife will give him random liquids, some of which may be poisonous, and he will drink them. So he could very well already be dead.
let, yeah, let's just everybody in the chat press F to pay your respects now.
Yeah, I'm gonna put an F in the chat myself for Dead Man taking random shots right now for his patrons. That
Yeah, I'm
man
gonna go
works
do that
hard for his
myself as well.
he works hard for his money. Um, Anyway, it's Carson of
Yeah,
Venus.
he's a wild man.
This is Carson of Venus and Warlord of Mars, #1 from American Mythology Comics. And oh, I didn't give my intro show. My bad. I should do that. Like tell the creators and such. I got carried away talking about how how it's from American
See,
Mythology
even I did that
Comics.
part
Motherfucker,
on my
don't.
story. Come on.
You know what? You're fired. It's late enough in the show. You're fired. Get out. I'm done with you. All right. This is written by David Alone, art by Cyrus Mesa Rica, Mesarcia, Cyrus Mesarcia. Colors by Bees
Oh,
Studio, and letters by Natalie Jane. Bees Studio did the colors. Ayrton. Bees. No,
not.
nothing. Bees. Beezzz.
Oh,
Bees.
oh. I thought I thought I thought it was D's. I thought it was D's nuts.
Oh no, Bees Studio. Bees nuts. I apologize, people. Anyway, we're introduced to John Carter and Carson. They they're basically teleported because they're fucking idiots and walk through random doorways that appear on their respective planets. Three people were
I mean,
apparently, huh? Wouldn't I? No, I
wouldn't
wouldn't
you?
just. No, I wouldn't just walk through a
Yeah.
doorway to nowhere. I've read House of Leaves. That shit doesn't. That shit doesn't fly. Like when you walk into a 5.5 minute hallway, you do not come out. Anyway,
Eh,
that's some
could be
that's
interesting.
that's some inside baseball for anybody that want to jive with me on that. But no, man, House of Leaves. There was a doorway that went nowhere, and when you walked through it, you basically were fucked.
Huh.
Yeah, yeah. There were stairways that
All right
seemed.
then.
Yeah, there were stairways that seemed like they were only 15 steps long, but they were infinite. Like once you started walking up them, you could never stop. It was awful.
Hmm.
Anyway, yeah, it was like some Hellraiser shit, but not in a horror
All
novel. It was
right.
very strange. Anyway, these two idiots walked through doorways that they didn't know where it went, and were teleported to this alien dude, and he explained that he put out 5 doors, but 3 people didn't answer his call. He knew only the greatest warriors would. Like he's just fluffing their egos up, and essentially he needs them to take a shot at the emperor of this planet or society or whatever. It doesn't really say. Um, and save the princess of the resistance. And at first they're like, well, we're not going to assassinate the guy. And he's like, no, 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 no. I just need you to save the princess. Everyone needs a beautiful princess saved. And that's kind of the cliche of these two characters is that they're both Earthmen who found their way to
well,
other planets and saved beautiful women of alien races and presumably made bang
well,
bang with them.
he well, snoo.
Bang bang. And
All
in my
right.
lore, it's you woman, me Vegeta, we make bang bang.
Well, I mean, that bug alien dude even says that. Like, you're both renowned for saving beautiful women from danger,
Yeah,
or something to that effect.
right. Yeah. So it and immediately you kind of get a lighthearted sense from this book, even though most of the time their stories are framed in a casing of seriousness. So I immediately
Yeah.
was happy that I picked this, even though I did read some other comics as well that would qualify for this week. This is the one that I was most entertained by. But yeah, he goes through the entire story of the tower and everything, and lets them know where they can find her. And he projects an image. I want you to remember this image that I'm going to pull up. And he
Oh,
projects
this was
this.
fantastic.
Yeah, he projects this.
Anyways, sorry.
Yeah, he projects this image of their princess, and he's like, "You have to save her." And they both see her, and they're like, "Who?" And they're like, "Yes, we'll go save her or whatever." And they lament on basically how stupid they have to be to take on this mission, because there are hundreds of guards that they have to eliminate and make their way through just to save the woman. Um,
But they do it anyways because
Laughing all the
the
way, like,
hologram, she looked hot.
right, and they're just making jokes about being stealthy as they blast and explode their way through everything. And one of them even makes a quip about, "Oh yeah, how noble of you to abuse the fact that there's low gravity to pull off massive feats of strength that you otherwise couldn't accomplish."
Or no,
It's
that the native population couldn't accomplish.
right. And then you see just the scenes of just 10 to 15 pages of just nonstop action as they work their way up this tower, Final Fantasy VII style. Um, you know, Carson is just constantly throwing off flashbangs, and he's counting down. He's like, "I've got two more." They eventually find a sentry, and John Carter picks up a blaster and uses it, even though he's notorious for not using guns. It's just all fantastically juvenile and fun. Um, Again, they make jokes. There's very little dialogue, not a lot of exposition, and I like that. They just let the art tell a lot of the story. Um,
Oh yeah,
and the art's really good. Nothing wrong with the
and
art.
it was,
The coloring's a little
and
strange.
it made it very easy to read like an hour and a half ago,
Yeah,
or maybe 2 hours at this point. What time are we at? Yeah, about 2 hours at this point.
yeah. We're definitely professional and prepared. I read this much earlier in the day, but Ayrton had to work.
Got to make those shekels.
But I'll send you the Streamlabs link later, so you can. I'm just kidding. Anyway, they make it past the sentry and then eventually make their way into an elevator. And they are debating on whether they just go up like one or two floors, or do they try and make it for the top and anticipate an ambush. And they vote to go up to the top, and obviously there's an ambush, but they have a plan. So they're above the uh, the shaft, and then he uses one of his final flashbangs to basically get the jump on the invading attackers and corner the big bad. And I am going to kind of spoil the ending of this one because it's a one shot, but you should definitely get it and enjoy it in the full sense. Um,
Oh yeah.
but they finally do get to free the princess, and the joke on them is that the princess looks just like the native population. They were just seeing a projection, I guess, of what the human version of her would be.
And I
But
mean, I don't know why they would have thought that the princess looked.
well, you've never read the John Carter of Mars books, have you?
No,
Oh man, the
not
princess,
really.
the Princess of Mars. Did you watch a lot of Star Trek when you were younger?
I watched a bit of the original series,
So do you know anything
like
about the?
William Shatner.
Do you know anything about the Green Chicks?
About the what?
The
You
green
robot
chicks,
for a second.
the green women. I'm trying to remember
Oh,
their race.
I know. I know they're a thing.
Oh man, that's
Basically,
gonna
me and my
bother me.
friends would watch it just because it's me and my friends would watch it when it would come on like whatever local station because it's so cheesy and bad. It's like fantastic.
The Orion women. That was what they were called. That's basically what
Mm.
the woman on Mars, the Princess of Mars, looks like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you got that going for you. But in any event, this is just a fantastic book. They even make a crack on the very last page of how they're the only, well, not the very, yeah, I get the impression that we took this far more seriously than anyone else. But
Yeah, that was fantastic.
it's a fantastic book. It's a one shot. It's like 24 pages, 23 pages, something like that. The the story's lighthearted. It's fun. It's a very quick read, but it's definitely worthy of picking up and looking at. I think
Oh
it's
yeah.
I think it's a fantastic little nod to those series without having to go too deep into it if you're already a fan of it. And I think these are characters that everybody should be slightly familiar with. I mean, just in my opinion, there's some of the most storied characters that are out there to make comics off of.
Yeah, that I mean, I read the digital version today, uh, but next week when I hit up the shop, if they have any issues of this left, I'll probably grab it just for my collection because this was a fun one.
Yeah, and it does have rereadability, just in the sense of you can check out the art again, you can make it through the story again, and pick up little nuances in the art that you didn't really pick up the
Oh
first
yeah,
time. I'm not thinking it's something that you're gonna read very often or anything like that. But if you pick this up, it's not gonna make you upset that you own it. It's
right,
definitely something you can hand to somebody and keep them busy for 10 minutes and make them laugh, even if they don't know who these people are. You might even interest them in who these characters are.
yeah. It's a fun story. Not much consequence to it, but it's enjoyable. Give you some yucks throughout it.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Overall, I'd highly recommend both of the comics we talked about that we picked this week.
Yeah, I had no problem with Sonata. It didn't bother me at all. Like I said, I think it's more or less the fact that I see certain things in
Right.
I
And
can.
I completely understand your hesitation. If it was a Marvel story, I would be full in with you. Like they're going to do some propaganda stuff with it. But since it's not, I'm willing to give it a shot at least for a few more issues. And if it stays good, I'll keep buying it.
Yeah, I mean that's all you can do is vote with your dollar.
Yeah.
Now we can either run a little bit long and get through all of these stories, or we can we can. If anybody's in the chat and you wanna kind of chime in on this, we've got four stories left on the card. Wolverine and Captain America story announced. The Shazam Who Laughs. So anybody familiar with the Batman Who Laughs might be interested in that. We'll definitely cover that one. I'm interested in that one. So
Well, I'm interested in the Wolverine and Captain America one.
yeah, but I don't know, man. Yeah, we'll look at both of those. But if anybody is interested in anything, chime in and we'll talk about it. We've also got a story about Chelsea Kane, the I believe author of Maneater.
uh,
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 Great article.
yeah,
I say we start there.
we're not going to start there. We're going to start here, a little more lighthearted, a little,
It is lighthearted.
It's funny. It's different.
Okay, I'll give it to you.
Uh, the Forgotten Comic Book Origins of Men in Black. Did you have any idea about this before I sent it to you today?
I had no clue.
1 year before Blade supposedly kicked off our current glut of comic book movies, there was an independent comic gobbled up by Marvel and transformed by Barry Sonnenfeld.
But before you continue,
Mm-hmm.
after reading through this article, kind of curious. It sounds kind of cool.
Mm,
Anyways,
why can't I? Oh, my 2 year old is not happy. Why can't I scroll? Oh, God damn it. Wouldn't be the Gospel of Comics without technical issues.
right? Do you want me to start getting the article while you figure stuff out?
No, no. I'll figure it out.
Okay.
Why don't you start on this one and I will. Yeah. With the secret connection between Wolverine and Captain America will be revealed in a new Marvel comic, and I will be right back.
All right, let me get over to that one. Hold up, everybody. Don't go nowhere. All right, it's almost like we had this scripted out, right? So, with the arrival of Jack Phoenix, not a horrible movie, but it's not that good either. Just saying. Fox's time as steward of the X-Men movies is officially over. Now that Disney has bought Fox, film rights to the X-Men now belong to the same hands as the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but with no plans yet sight. That's what it says. To integrate the X-Men into the MCU, it'll probably be several years before fans can see characters like Captain America and Wolverine, hint, on screen together. Like that whole few sentences there really matters to what we're about to talk about.
Really?
But while they wait, but while they wait for that, fans will soon be a new Marvel Comics series, Wolverine and Captain America: Weapon Plus, that will explore the secret connection between Steve Rogers and Logan. Which is it really a secret? Like, hasn't it been hinted for a while that
Your audio is just
there
awful.
is it? What
Yeah.
the hell?
I'm gonna go back
God
through
damn.
that real quick. Um,
Yeah, okay.
um, oh
The
man,
the first paragraph it means nothing.
yeah. Basically, Grant Morrison is doing the well. Let's see. Anyone even slightly familiar with Wolverine's origin knows that he was born a mutant, but he honed into a living weapon by a shadow government agent. They called him Weapon X. When Grant Morrison took over the new X-Men comics in the early 2000s, he made a brilliant update that the X in Weapon X didn't refer to the X-Men, but instead the Roman numeral for 10. Wolverine was the government's 10th attempt to make a super soldier. Nothing.
Hold on, and my connection being shit.
Man, this just went
Keep
perfectly
going.
tonight. My 2 year old is extremely upset at being in the dark right now because we turned her TV off.
Uh,
I can hear her crying all the way. I'm sure you can almost hear her in the background.
every now and then I'll get a little something.
Don't worry, I'm not neglecting my children. My wife is taking care of her. All right, man. Thanks for stopping by, cartoon. Have a good one, man.
See you, buddy.
Anyway, now we got it. Now I got it. Nope, nope. She's gonna squeal again. It hurts me every time. I just want to go check on her, but I know my wife has it. I know she's got it taken care of. Mrs. Church is fantastic, and they like her better than me. But it breaks my heart every time I hear one of them crying. Anyway, basically, they're trying to hint to the fact that Captain America was Weapon One. He was the first human given the super soldier serum, which is what's kept him young, and what the lack of the super soldier serum made him age. Um, they're getting into that. Also, there are other weapons. Nuke that we talked about in the Death of Wolverine was a weapon. Phantom X
Yeah,
from Weapon X or not Weapon X from X Force, I believe,
yeah,
was a
yeah.
weapon.
X Force. Even there's some hints that Silver Fox and uh, Wraith and Sabretooth, Mastodon, like all of them were all part of this program at some point or another. Has been hinted at throughout the comics. Deadpool, I think.
Deadpool was Weapon 11.
Yeah, but I mean, it's nothing surprising to me that they would do this. It's actually kind of surprising that it's taken until now for them to put out a story specifically dedicated to this area of these characters' lives. In my opinion, I don't know you.
Repeat that last sentence. You're surprised it took them this long to put out a story.
About these two characters like connection in their lives together like that.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't
I
know
mean,
if you're as surprised as I am that it
no,
took this
because
long.
we've gotten snippets of it because we've seen that they fought together in World War II. We know that they're both part of the Super Soldier program.
Yeah, Wolverine was called Legion back in World War II or in Canada.
Oh my Jesus!
You didn't know that?
No, you're roboting so bad.
Oh, what the fuck?
You'll just start talking, and I'll be really interested to hear what you say, and it won't let me hear it. And it makes me so angry.
How's that? Is that good
Yeah, for now, but as soon as you try and tell
for
me
now?
something I'm actually interested in hearing, it's gonna fuck up again.
Okay. So should I just tell stupid jokes the rest of the show so you're not interested in hearing them?
No, because you're roboting on that too. Anyway, just keep going. We'll figure it
All
out.
right. So yeah, there's been hints going back at least 20 years, I'd say, right? That there's a
Yeah,
connection between these two.
yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, we know that they fought in the war together. We know that they're both part of the weapon series. I mean, they're just gonna tell that story finally. I am surprised it took them this long to do it, but I'm
Yeah.
also surprised that they found the need for it. At long last, writer Ethan Sachs and artist Diogenes Neves, colorist Federico Blee, and inker Andrino Di Benedetto. Fuck you, entertainment. You know you just put those names in there to fuck with us. Like, none of those are even real people, I'll bet. It's probably like John Smith, Frank Grimes, Homer Simpson.
Yeah.
Unveil the shadowy connection between Captain America, Wolverine, and more of the world's super soldiers, reads Marvel official announcement. As more is revealed, one question emerges: who are the new weapons? So we're gonna see new weapons from the Weapon X project. Is basically what that just spoiled. And Jonathan Hickman, um, his writing is tremendous. A lot of his Avengers run was used in Infinity War as referenced here. Um, he's going to be writing two X Men series that are set to reboot the entire line of X Men comic, which I think we should actually.
I'm probably gonna get. I'm definitely gonna pick these up. The
Oh, I'm
House of
gonna.
X and Powers of X.
I'm gonna read it too because Hickman's writing it. A little known fact:
Yeah.
he covered Secret Wars 2015. He did a tremendous run on Fantastic Four and the Avengers. So
But I mean, there's not much more to this article. Just some snippets of the art, which I don't know what you think of it, but that cover for issue 1 is kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah, I give you that. I don't like Wolverine's claws in it, but I do like the helmets on both of them. The logo's shit.
Well, yeah, I meant the actual art of the two of them,
Yeah.
both with the helmet things on and the whatever's sticking out of their skin.
Well, that's weird. That's a very strange cover.
The bottom one,
Uh huh.
yeah.
So, um, let's see if I can get this other article to pull up.
Which I mean, just because I'm a huge Wolverine fan, I'm probably at least going to pick up the first issue, see how it is when it comes out.
Right.
So, I mean, we'll probably do a quick run through of it when it comes out, I imagine.
Well, before the reboot, you know what I'd like to cover, and I haven't talked to you about this, but I figured you wouldn't mind considering how much you love X Men and whatnot.
Yeah,
I wanted to go through Age of Apocalypse again.
that could be cool.
Uh,
I've read I haven't like read the entire thing, but I've read a good majority of it.
that's a good experience for you. It's one of the most tremendous X Men things that ever happened because I honestly it almost felt like a test run for what they did in Secret Wars 2015. They stopped printing on everything that they were doing X Men related and relaunched 4 and 5 issue miniseries of new books based on the new continuity after Legion Quest, where Legion went back in time to kill Magneto, but instead accidentally killed Charles Xavier and changed the entire world to a world that Magneto or that Apocalypse had already conquered.
Which I mean, if you're gonna do a big like event, if you will, like that, that's how you should do it.
Yeah,
Cancel everything else and just write it as a single story instead of all these tie-ins and
well, they were
crap.
all still tie-ins, but the thing is
But well,
it changed the entire line, and it did so in a way that the other series could continue afterwards with either fresh reboots because the continuity changes, or as if nothing had ever happened.
yeah,
So, but that's just me. I really like the way that was done. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't like the way that Marvel handled Secret Wars tie-ins because, first off, none of them are necessary for the actual story. Like maybe one or two are even beneficial, but none of them are necessary. You don't need to read anything outside of the main storyline to enjoy Secret Wars. Now, there are stories outside of the main storyline that are based in that universe that are good, and there are stories that are fun, but you don't need them. And they could have
right.
existed on their own merit without, formally canceling every other book, but they used it as a soft reboot. For somebody like me, I bought all of those comics, and I don't regret it, but I don't recommend it. A lot of them I bought in duplicates and multiple covers. It's a touchy subject. Anyway, this is what I wanted to talk about. Finally got the scroll to work. It's the bane of my fucking
Nice.
existence is
All
scrolling in
right.
a web browser in OBS. They're a rumor recognizable only as deja vu and dismissed just as quickly. Men in Black destroyed the 4th of July box office in '97, running away with the first place prize of $51 million. knocking Face Off from his perch. The film reigned supreme for the entire month and would eventually go on to claim Rick Baker his fifth Academy Award for Best Makeup, as well as nominations for Best Art Direction and Best Original Score. Men in Black epitomized the summer movie season as a joyous assault of visual effects and buddy cop humor, and twisting the same government conspiracies and tabloid UFOs accounts that fueled more Dora investigations of the X Files. Director Barry Sonnenfeld and writer Ed Solomon concocted a perfect confection that could entice an audience seeking jokes from one of the hip 50s era sci fi Easter eggs. The geek renaissance was on the cusp of erupting, and the mainstream audiences were eager to adopt fringe entertainments as their own. That's actually a very insightful line. Um, hmm, I'm gonna think on that. The the geek renaissance was on the cusp of erupting, and mainstream audiences were eager to adopt fringe entertainment as their own.
In '97, I
Yeah,
don't know. That seems kind of early.
Blade, Blank Man.
Okay, I mean,
It starts
I
somewhere.
I
The Spider-Man and Wolverine, or the Spider-Man and X-Men cartoons. It starts
yeah,
creeping in. Beast Wars,
I
Transformers, Power Rangers.
I guess in my brain the real explosion is like 2005, 2006,
No, that
when
was the that was the
like the
hostile
hot
takeover.
topic.
That
Well,
that was the
I'm
hostile
I'm thinking
takeover.
like the hot topic geek. You know, that's
Nah,
I
man,
guess that's what I'm picturing in my mind.
you're still boomering it up, man. People have been doing that since the '90s.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
Hmm.
Superheroes and Batman shit, man.
Well, yeah.
Like,
Uh,
don't ever underestimate the fact that Batman's had movies since the '60s.
true.
Anyway, not to argue with you on that, but no, don't tell me, motherfucker.
I'm just
the
I'm
main.
just telling you what I saw. The emergence of like the vintage band T-shirts where people would have reprints of like Led Zeppelin's
Mm-hmm.
1973 tour. The
Yep.
song remains the same. You'd be like, "Oh, what's your favorite Zeppelin album?" Led Zeppelin 4. Oh, okay.
Of
What's your favorite Pink Floyd album? Dark Side of the Moon. Oh,
course it
all
is.
right.
It's the only one you know,
You know,
isn't it?
yeah. I At least where I grew up, I saw those kind of like come around about the same time
Yeah. I
where
never
I
really
was.
cared about that, but no, I've always seen superheroes like creeping their way into the mainstream. You got to take it from all sides, though, man. You got to think about how many birthday party themes started getting Spider-Man and Batman. You know,
Mine was
costumes
usually like
becoming
laser
readily
tag.
costumes because becoming readily. Well, I'm talking about the napkins and the plates.
Yeah, yeah. No, I just wanted to mention laser tag because I haven't played it in a while, and I kind of wanted to go do
Oh man, are we gonna have to watch Photon?
it. Photon. I think we might.
I don't think I want to bite on Jim's shit. Maybe
True.
maybe we'll watch it for Patreons or something one day. We'll watch the Photon laser tag show.
uh, anyways,
Um, anyway, yeah. The film was an early bite from a comic pie cooling on the windowsill, loosely based on Aircell comics written by Lowell Cunningham, illustrated by Sandy Curthers. The original storyline focused on a secret government agency that policed various aliens and supernatural threats to Earth. Not content with little green men, the comic book characters also battled mutants, werewolves, vampires, and zombies. Only 6 issues were published between 90 and 91 before Hollywood snatched up the concept. Aircell would eventually be purchased by Malibu Comics, which was consumed by Marvel Comics right before the release of the film.
I like how it's said consumed.
Yeah,
Anyways,
once they got the hold of the rights, Marvel pumped out multiple one-shots, but the series failed to reach the success of its cinematic counterpart. Rewatching the film today, Lowell and Marvel Comics opening title credits smacks with so much more severe impact than it did in '97. Obviously, the comic book company did not have the same cachet in the pre-MCU world. Prior to the Men in Black, their only significant mainstream achievement were an unmemorable Captain America serial from the 40s, Incredible Hulk television series, and Spider-Man show.
which I loved.
Yeah,
Love the old Incredible Hulk TV show.
a few other failed pilots, Howard the Duck, a loose affiliation with Red Sonja, and a direct-to-video Punisher film, a direct-to-video Captain America film, and the aborted. Oh no! Oh, what are you doing, OBS? Stop!
Uh
I like the way that was going. A direct-to-video Captain America film and an aborted Roger Corman produced Fantastic Four atrocity. That
oh.
Atomic
Okay,
Denny, Atomic Denny
Go
said that
ahead.
I have to watch that. He sent me a screener for that and said that I have to watch the
Oh,
damn
it's amazing.
thing. Okay,
It's amazingly bad in all the best ways.
okay, I have to watch it still. Maybe we'll do a
You
show
do.
on that. Maybe that's a show right
Oh, we
there.
should.
Just watching
We
these shitty
should. Well,
Marvel comic movies and shows.
well, there's a whole like story behind Roger Corman's Fantastic Four, right?
No,
Like why it was made and why it was abandoned.
no.
It it was basically like a tax money laundering scheme, more or less.
Hmm.
I'll look up the full details on it and send them over to you.
Okay.
But yeah, there's some interesting history behind it.
That might be interesting to talk about on the show one day.
Yeah.
The comic book was oh yeah. Anyway, aborted Roger Corman produced Fantastic Four atrocity. To think the company would ever rise above a blip in the larger pop culture conversation seemed impossible, but the Men in Black adaptation was a huge step forward a year before Blade would properly kick things off. The comic book was far more grimmer experience than the film, especially in those first two black and white iterations. In battling aliens and monsters, Agent J and K were much more inclined to throw a perp off a cliff and admire his splattery remains than peacefully neuralize onlookers. In the first issue, Jay is recruited into the organization by K after the two battle a demonic cult peddling a new super drug that transforms the users into gray savages. Imagine Zootopia without any societal commentary and a lot more sawed-off shotguns. At the end of the comic, K drags Jay's brutalized, pulpy mess of a body to his car and practically kidnaps him into the MIB.
Can we find these and review these?
Absolutely, that has been on the agenda since before you said anything.
I assume so, but I just wanted to make sure it was stated on air.
Oh, absolutely, yes. We're gonna have to look at this now. Cunningham stuck around for the Marvel one-shot, but practically vanished after Men in Black garnered blockbuster status. In the early 2000s, he spent most of his time scripting Star Wars parody films like Crazy Watto and Darth Vader's Psychic Hotline. He told the New York Times on the weekend of the film's release, everybody has one big idea in their lives. This was my big idea. In 2012, he published one more comic book series, Jack Ooze, the saga of a district attorney that sometimes dealt vigilante justice in a semi-liquid form. Gross. One big idea. That tracks. This article is fucking brutal, man. I love it. Prosperity is more than an idea, right? As clever as the film rode the line between comedy and action, Men in Black succeeds beyond the concept because of our undeniable attraction to Will Smith. The actor had just starting his ascent from a successful musician and television star to a full-blown cinematic icon. He had previously proven his chops in 6 Degrees of Separation and revealed how far his charisma would endow the action hero routine of Bad Boys and Independence Day. Men in Black was his final affirmation as a bona fide star. There was no shaking him after this. Uh, let's see.
We could probably skip this.
Yeah, those last three. They just suck off Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones some more. Toss in a plethora of remarkable actors inside human suits of Mondo bizarre extraterrestrials. Vincent D'Onofrio. Yep, he was the main bad guy. Tony Shalhoub. Yep. I mean, it's a who's who. But yeah, we'll find these books and we'll look at them. I just thought it was kind of interesting that Men in Black was actually a comic book before it was a movie. Maybe not in the truest form, but yeah, we'll see if we can put this out and find it. No, fuck you, ad. Uh,
I mean, I'll go scour the resale shop I go to find random crap if I have to. I'll dig through all of their long boxes.
we have Amazon here.
Yeah, but it's not as fun.
I don't say it's not. I'm just saying like we have Amazon. Don't stress over it.
I was I was trying to show my dedication to this show church. All right.
You don't have to lie to me, man. Lie to the
Yeah, but
fan.
to the listeners, I should
Lie,
a little bit.
lie to the fans all you want to, but don't lie to me. Anyway, last but not least, this isn't going to take very long. I felt like it's something we need to discuss because this has been pointed out by a lot of people. Ethan Van Sciver, Vox Day, Nick Ricada, Jesse from the Dead Man's Tone podcast, Ty Beard, Dick Masterson, Ethan Ralph, the entire Killstream trio. Everybody will tell you you can't give an inch to these people online. If they
Yeah,
don't
because then
like
you'll
your
be accused of sexual assault
or transphobia in this instance.
or
Let,
transphobia.
let's talk for a minute. Um, there's a book called Man Eaters. Are you familiar with Man Eaters, Ayrton?
I've heard of it. I've heard like your boy Zach mention it on some stuff from other
It
people
it's
in
come
kind of
up.
that vein.
It's come up once or twice. Um,
And I know you mentioned it in our off-air talks.
I've spoken of it, yes, once or twice. I've let's just read the description on imagecomics.com, shall we?
Which is a shame because I kind of like some Images stuff, and this kind of
Image
taints the reputation for me.
No, it doesn't. Image is a publisher,
But
not a creative house. They don't hire these people. These people publish through Image.
okay,
It's
all
all
right, fair
independent
enough. All right,
comics. Eisner nominated
all
and New
right.
York Times
Go ahead.
bestselling thriller writer Chelsea Kane returns to comics with a new ongoing series. A mutation in toxoplasmosis causes menstruating women to turn into ferocious killer wildcats, easily provoked and extremely dangerous. As panic spreads around, the paranoia takes root. The fate of the world rides on the shoulders of one 12-year-old girl. Part cat people, part the handmaid's tale. Man eaters will have everyone talking. From the creative team behind the Eisner nominated series, Mockingbird, they're really trying to sell based on that Eisner nomination, aren't they?
They really are. And can I say something real quick?
Eisner
That
nominated doesn't mean a goddamn thing.
no, that toxoplasmosis.
Mm-hmm.
That's a serious disease.
It
Macaulay
is.
Culkin got it.
Jesus Christ.
What? He okay. He was on Joe Rogan and he talked about it, and you know,
I thought you were making a joke.
no, Macaulay Culkin really does have that disease.
Well, yeah, but
You get it from certain cats when they scratch you or bite you or something like that. Like all cats can potentially carry it, but like can't always transmit it. I don't know.
but yeah, I've mentioned this once or twice. Now, again, my opinions are my own. I don't expect anyone ever to adhere to them.
And his opinions are my own.
But I don't really see the market for this kind of comic book in mass. I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
based on my personal experience in comic stores, maybe one in every 50 people that walk into one is a woman looking to buy something for herself. Maybe one in 20 of those people look at comic books, and maybe one in 10 of those 20 buy a comic book.
Hey, when I was at the comic shop this week, there was a chick in there buying comics for herself.
I'm not saying that you don't occasionally run across the rare one. I'm just saying that my local
It was
comic shop,
also four in the afternoon,
well,
so
my
there might have been 50 people in there by then.
my local comic shop is more of a card shop than anything else. So that also may have
Yeah.
something to do with it. You get a lot more guys in there to buy sports cards and trading cards and shit like that, and a lot more girls that play those games and read comic books.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm not saying they're not out there, but I am saying that there may not be that many out there that want to read about menstruating werecat women.
It's a hard sell.
It is a hard sell. Anyway,
Yeah.
the author
A
Chelsea
niche
Kane,
audience at best.
yeah, the author Chelsea Kane is the subject of this particular article, and this is going to be the last one for the evening. So I apologize for having so much, but there was just so much interesting shit that happened this week.
Oh yeah.
Um, anyway, Mockingbird writer Chelsea Kane has deleted her Twitter account after facing mounting backlash and accusations of transphobia due to a creative choice present in the latest issue of her comic series, Maneaters. I wonder what that creative choice was, Eric.
Ooh, that's a tricky one. I'm
Kane,
I'm
Kane
I'm on
self
the edge of on the edge of my seat.
Kane,
Continue.
Kane's self-described feminist series, Man-Eaters, published by Image Comics with art by Elise McCall, follows the exploits of a 12-year-old girl named Maud as she navigates the world wherein the mutation causes women's menstrual cycles to change a woman into a werecat, with ensuring
Which doesn't
harsh
that
skin.
is this really fiction?
I'm
I
a
mean,
married man, Eric. Don't do this to me.
is she listening right now?
You know this is recorded, right?
That's besides the point. I asked if she was listening right now, not if she might listen later.
You know you may
Those are
meet
two.
Mrs. Church one day, right?
You're
Choose
gonna let me anywhere near the general vicinity of where you live?
no,
Well,
but I may come to where you live.
okay, fair enough. Just watch out for all the didn't-dos.
Yeah, yeah, didn't do nothing. See what I did there?
I, I
Kane,
do.
Kane's.
I heard they're real quick. I heard they're changing the name of the city of Flint
Hmm.
to the Michigan State Zoo of Flint.
Jesus Christ, that's fucked up.
All right, I'll disavow myself.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Kane's self-described
Okay.
feminist series Man-Eaters, published by Image Comp, blah blah blah. I've already read that. Change a woman into a werecat creature with ensuing harsh fear and paranoia motivated response from the government. Okay.
I still don't see this as fiction. Sorry, continue.
Kane has repeatedly faced waves of criticisms and accusations of holding trans exclusionary radical feminist, or TERF, beliefs due to alleged trans exclusionary nature. Now, this is a thing right now. Trans exclusionary is a thing. Um,
Where's that giant meteor when we need it?
now, now, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't this lead to tokenism?
It does. Like Token in South Park.
That everyone knows. You don't. If the joke's not funny, if you have to explain it, Eric.
I was making. I wasn't explaining a joke. I was making a reference.
uh,
Hey, I'm on my 5th pint. All right.
Jesus Christ. This whiskey is 122 proof, so I am not on my fifth one. I
Church
would,
is the more sober one for this show.
I am.
Yeesh.
Uh, anyway, holding turf, trans exclusionary radical feminist turf. Jesus Christ. I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Okay. This next sentence, I have a feeling you're just gonna have an aneurysm trying to read.
Go ahead and do it for me then. Why don't you take care of this one for me?
uh, due to the alleged trans exclusionary
Yes, trans
nature
exclusionary nature of the series
of the
concept.
series concept, as some believed, associating the monstrous change in women with a biological menstrual cycle excludes persons who were not biologically female but identify as such. And what's the issue?
Hold on,
If you don't have a uterus,
I gotta catch up to Ayrton and drinks
hold
real
on,
quick, folks.
hold on, hold on. I'm gonna go on a rant for a second.
By all means.
If you don't have a uterus and ovaries, you can't have a menstrual cycle. Get over yourself, all right? Call yourself a woman all you want. It's ma'am. I don't care. You can't menstruate. Deal with stab yourself in the taint if you really want to bleed that bad every month.
I disavow.
If that'll
I
make you happy.
don't do that.
I
In Minecraft. Don't no. No,
but
I
but seriously,
disavow.
but seriously, when did we get to the point that scientifically proven biological facts are discriminatory and hate speech? Seriously, what? I wish we were on board for the clown world honk. Like, I don't usually participate in those kind of mass memes, but this one applies to this. We're in a fantasy world.
We
We
are.
might as well be in a
We
we
are.
might as well
Well,
be in a comic universe, and we need a reboot right now. Seriously, whoever's writing this, reboot this. It's getting out of hand.
you're not
Sorry,
wrong.
I'm done. I'm
Yeah,
done.
that was not planned. I like it. No, I just wanted to bring this up because of just how comically bad it is that the social justice warriors will eat their own from the inside out when they have no one else to do. Like, because I think a lot of people on the right have just learned to block and mute these people, but now they
Oh
have to.
no, I leave them.
No, I mean
Come at me.
I I can't trust myself. Bronx blogger recently unblocked me on Twitter, and I had to have a real internal debate with myself to decide whether I just started going at him again or if I just blocked him in the for the sanctity of the show and my Twitter account.
Which is fair.
um, because I will get myself in trouble because he is a communist, and that don't fly over here. uh, anyway, let's finish this up and then get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Uh, in an interview with Kat Oberlin from Women Write About Comics, Kane specified that the series is a story about what it's like to be a cisgendered female coming to age in a culture that consistently reinforces the messaging that periods are shameful, that our bodies are shameful, and that womanhood and the biology that goes along with it is sometimes gross and not polite company. Well, I mean,
Okay. Sorry. I had a lot of things to say as I was reading this article earlier. One, we love your bodies. As long as you're not morbidly obese or like a creepy
Hey,
like
and
skeleton anorexic,
some people that
we're
sure,
not picky.
some people, man, you don't get exclusionary.
So, so, so,
That
some people, yes,
everybody is into somebody. That's the way I
but
look at it.
okay, but bleeding from your vagina, that all bodily functions like that are gross. Do you want us to go around freely talking about the diarrhea we get from eating Taco Bell too much? No,
Well,
and we don't want to hear about that.
that's not special to us.
Well,
You know,
us like you and me. I mean,
I
we probably consume Taco Bell a little too much.
I don't consume Taco Bell often enough. Actually, being married,
well,
being married and having
I
small
mean,
children, you really up the McDonald's intake and lower on the Taco Bell intake. Taco Bell is a single
all
man's
right,
food.
okay, fair enough. I'll give you that.
Now, if Taco Bell would get some
But
chicken
seriously,
nuggets and keep them year
it's
round,
uh,
tear that shit up.
dude, those naked chicken tacos, man, those things are awesome.
Oh yeah, they're
They
good.
need to bring those back.
They
Anyways,
they used to have
it's
some
it's
healthy option chicken tacos that were really good. Some like chicken Santa Fe, and you could get the cilantro salsa on there because they had the
oh
fresco
nice.
salsa. Oh, so
Oh
good.
yeah. Oh man.
Anyway,
But it's a it's an unsanitary bodily function. If I bled from my hand once a month, it would be just as gross.
you're not
Blood, getting
Jesus,
someone
Eric.
else's blood on you. I do have an eye stigmata and I do bleed from it every now and then.
Um,
But
anyway, no, I get what you're saying.
blood is unsanitary. It's
Yes,
gross.
yes,
Like it's what it is.
yes. Well, I was gonna say that historically in other cultures, um, before we had civilizations, of course, you were just always pregnant, so you never had a menstrual cycle.
Well,
Like
and not
back in
even
the day when you
historically, even today,
like,
even these days, Native American tribes, if you're menstruating, you can't be part of certain sacred ceremonies at that time because it's viewed as unclean. But no, they're an oppressed people, so we're not going to attack that.
hmm,
But guys thinking it's gross to bleed from your genitalia, let's go after that.
well, I mean, it it's dicey territory, I think,
It is.
because
It
it's
is.
just like
But
breastfeeding in certain situations. Like it is a process that they can't help. But I mean, I don't see guys
right.
sitting. I don't see guys sitting, except for you now, obviously. But I don't see a lot of guys sitting around going, "Man, I can't stand it when women bleed." You're the only strong
Okay.
proponent of. I'm just fucking with you.
Well,
Nobody really talks about it or shames a woman. I mean,
no.
I think that there's a lot of misconception in that particular area. But I'm sure
There
that
is.
it's not something that people want to talk about. But you don't talk about
No,
bowel
it's not.
movements or urination or any other bodily function that involves your genitalia. You don't talk about ejaculation in front of
R-
a company,
right.
unless you're that kind of
Let
person.
and let me just say, working for the company I have been for the past 4 years, the majority of my like equal colleagues and subordinates and whatever in this job have been female. If they're on their periods, I'm usually a little bit nicer to them. Not because I don't want my head bitten off, because I get there's the cramps, it's uncomfortable. They don't like it either. We do sympathize with you,
Well,
but
I'm
it's
not.
still gross.
I'm not going to read the entirety of this article because we're already 15 minutes over, and this is a founding in the
We are.
comments article, so it's unnecessarily long and quotes tweets. But this just kind of goes to show you when you apologize or when you try to make a statement, uh, these people are being eaten by their own. They can't help it but to keep destroying successful people. Um, Even if you're successful and a supporter of their movement, there was the men first. Ben Affleck got
Yeah.
slapped back from the Me Too movement. Anybody,
Well,
any
and
ma-
look at Christina Hoffsummers. She's a lifelong Democrat feminist, and she's blasted by these crazy radicals for some of the views she has. I mean, she wears dresses and makeup, and believes should do that, or should have the choice to do that, and they still blast her for some of her views, and
of course,
it's and the fact that this is seeping into. Sorry, I'll we can close
oh no,
we can
no. I
close
mean,
up
by all
after
means,
this.
get it out, get it
The
out. Let it
the
let it go.
the 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 fact that it's seeping into something that, yes, comic book like the X-Men, there's some social undertones to that of oppressing people that are different, but the fact that it's seeping into things where you have characters like Green Lantern who have a magic ring that can create constructs that are related to someone's imagination, and you have characters like Thor with Mjolnir, that's a magic hammer that allows him to control the weather and shoot bolts and all these fantastical things, and you whittle it down to these issues that your average person doesn't. It's not an issue in their life. It doesn't. No one cares about it.
Well,
I mean,
let
I'm
me
I'm
let me
sure
interject. Let me let
I'm
me
sure Church, you being, yeah, go
well
ahead.
let me interject. Like, I see where you're going. I get where you're going. I disagree in the sense that there's no issue too big or too small for comic books. Comic books are a medium that transcends other mediums in the sense that you can tell a story with pictures, you can tell a story with words, you can tell a story with one or the other or both. And comic books allow you to do all of those things in one format. And it allows you to tell your story with your voice and your art and your colors, and you can dictate the entire process and work together to create a perfect product. And I
True.
I don't think that there is any invalidation to the idea of a comic called Man Eaters. I just don't think that it's something that a company like Image should come out and say this is the pinnacle of what comics are. And in my understanding, they haven't. From what it sounds like, this is a
Yeah.
woman who
I'm
who has a
not
very strong feminist
nothing
agenda and got fired from
nothing
Marvel
against Image.
or left Marvel because of the
Uh,
Mockingbird fiasco.
yeah.
No, and like I
But
said,
I
I don't think the Image has done anything wrong in this particular instance, but I don't think the creator has either. I think she's created a comic book that is
no,
potentially divisive. I don't think that's good,
right.
but I also don't
Well,
think.
I guess, sorry, where I was going with this is comics being, as we've said, I think since day one, when we first did that impromptu stream 2 months ago, is comics are modern day American mythology, and
True,
what they are is taking these archetypes and
but don't
these bigger ideas and
don't.
general human experiences, and being able to lay them out in a story that different people can relate to depending on those characters. So yes,
Well, right,
what
but
she's doing, kind
there.
of putting the menstrual cycle as kind of like the werecat thing. I see what she's doing, but and I have no problem with that. my problem is with the way people are attacking her for it. Now, it's not something I would read. It's not something I necessarily agree
Right.
with. But the way she's going about the story, I get it. I get what she's trying to do.
Like a lot of people think that our side has this agenda that is we're going to mock you for doing something and then we're going to just shit on you because you did it and all that good shit. No. Here's the thing. If we don't like something you
Not
do,
at
we
all.
reserve the right to shit on it, but we also reserve the right to defend your right to put it out. Like, I don't
Right.
care that you want to put something bad out. I don't have to read it. That's my freedom. I can also exercise my freedom in making fun of it because it's not something that I think is
Right.
good. But the thing is, like, in the end of the day, you have just as much freedom to put it out as I have the freedom not to buy it. And that is what determines what is successful. Now, when the numbers settle for this comic book, because of all the controversy behind it, and I wouldn't be surprised if this controversy was not planned, I'm sure it's going to sell very well. And by that measure, it will be a good comic, even though it's about periods. And let's
And
I think and I think this is going to be my closing thought. I'll let you have the final word, but Atomic Denny um, said it best in a recent chat that he and I had. But it gets kind of silly, and this isn't a shot at anybody in particular or anybody who's affiliated with any particular movement or group or anything, but if you look at the current climate in the community, we've we've lost sight of what comic books are all about. It feels like, and that's sad.
yeah,
Um, and we make fun of things that we don't like, and then when things we do like are attacked and deplatformed, people can't understand why we have a problem with that.
right,
Kickstarter refusing to cover, you know, your boy Zach's book in the first place started the whole Comicsgate movement, and now you have the stuff with Doug TenNapel, and it just, it's exhausting. Um, I love all of those guys because Comicsgate represents a consumer movement to me. It represents creators and consumers coming together for a better product, for a product that doesn't demonize its own fans, for creators that don't use their time and platform to attack fans. Um, I have no problem with any of those guys. They're different subsections. I don't understand the movement as a whole. I support the idea that it was founded under. I've kickstarted a few comics. Um, I'll review them as I get them. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to stop buying comics from my local comic shop either. And your average normie in real
right,
life has no idea what Comicsgate is, what the day to day internet drama looks like, and
yeah,
what kind of backlash these people are of all sides, on all sides. I think it's fairly obvious that I hold some pretty stout conservative views when it comes to a lot of issues. I have some very liberal views as well. Um, it just really depends on what the issue is. I'm not a single issue voter. I don't, you know, I think that your average modern day self-identifying liberal is a bitch, but I'm a conservative in thinking that I still have the right to say that. But in comics, we've gotten to a point where they've become a battleground. and that's not going to end well for
Uh,
anybody,
No, it's not.
especially
And
not the fans. I like and appreciate
and
what the creators and Comicsgate are doing. I
oh
just
yeah.
I just wish that
And
the industry would
and
catch up. Go ahead.
just real quick, Shilfer, I'll turn to one more time.
Yeah,
Check them out.
absolutely.
Co- Comics, they have comics for every taste. If you're interested in getting into it, even at all, go just look at the synopsis of the stories. Kind of, just grab ones that are interesting.
Absolutely.
Um, but I guess my real, I'll make it quick. So in closing, man eaters. I I haven't read it. Not
Yeah.
my cup of tea. But if this is a story that kind of gives prepubescent and adolescent girls kind of an archetypal kind of transcendent way to kind of understand what's going on with them and with their bodies and all this stuff and the hormone swings and stuff, then great. But at the same time, and I have to defend her for being attacked over what she's being attacked for because it's ridiculous.
Right.
I don't know if this is a good story. I haven't read it.
But
But
she has every right
if
in the world to write it without
she,
being attacked for it because
she
she's transphobic.
exactly.
Um,
And
and the
and if you and if you're to happen to be listening to this and you're a young woman and you get something from this, then great. That's what comics are for. That's what mythology is. It's about being able to find these different archetypes and human experiences that we all run into and being able to find these different characters and identifying them and being able to get something out of it. And that's really the point of this medium. Of it's stretching back thousands of years to the first mythologies coming out of Sumeria and ancient Egypt and stuff, and that's really what it's about. The writing might be terrible, and the art could be great. I don't know. I haven't read it. I don't plan to. But if you get something out of it, good. But don't attack a creator over something as trivial as not including trans people that that can't understand what it's like to have a period. I
well,
guess that's kind of
one
the crux
thing
of what I was trying to say.
one thing I think that I took away from that article though is they apparently are accusing her of having a history of being one of these trans exclusionary radical feminists. And what that means is, and I'm going to wrap this up because,
Yeah,
um,
we're
but
way over. My
but
bad.
but what that means is that she is a feminist that actually doesn't believe in calling trans women women, and I think that's where the animosity is coming from. And I think this is an argument we all need to kind of to get past. If somebody wants to be called whatever they want to be called, it's my God given right not to do it. And it's their God given right never to interact with me again because of it. In a work environment, if it becomes an issue, then I think you deal with it in that situation. But in public, I think people need to stop being so sensitive when when they have certain ways to stop these interactions. If you don't like someone's
Right.
politics, if you don't like someone's characteristics, I have no problem calling someone what they wish to be called. But if someone else has a problem with them as a free speech absolutist, I have to stand behind that because I'm not required to call a biological male a male. In fact, that's
Right.
90% of growing up is calling your best friends women. but but in any event, I think the grand scheme of it is we all need a little bit thicker skin, and we all need to stop bitching about every little thing that ticks us off, especially when it comes to comic books. Because if
and
you ruin somebody else's good
and
time,
we
you're not helping the industry at all.
right. And we need to get a greater understanding of what these stories really are to the greater society.
Well, I don't necessarily mean that. I'm not saying that if anybody
Well,
asked me to recommend Norse mythology, I'd say that you need to go read the story about where Thor enslaves a little boy because he broke his goat's leg in the process of butchering it.
which I love that story, by the way.
I do too, but we're
No,
weird
no,
fuckers that like deep lore shit like that. Hey, no, you tell them
no,
about the
but
story of where Thor got his hammer and the wager of Loki and the dwarves of Loki's head, but not an inch of his neck.
yeah, right. No, but what I mean is people need to understand that archetypal concept of what comic books are in today's age.
Right.
That I think that's something that really needs to be pushed, and that's something we push every show, really.
Well, I think that people need something to escape from how serious the world really is. And I think that comics are a very good opportunity for that. And I think people need to stop ruining that for other people. But let's get the fuck off the air.
Right. Yeah, let's get out of here.
As always, I appreciate it. I will pick back up with you after the show after I log off here. But I'm going to go ahead and end the call so I can play the outro.
Good.
We can get the fuck out of here.
Good night. Good night, everybody. Thank you for listening to me go off for a few minutes there. I know I broke character. I'm sorry. I'll be back to my goofy, cheesy self tomorrow.
All right, man. Thank you again. I'll be with you in just a few minutes.
All right.
All right. It's just me, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I appreciate everybody that stuck with us. I like I said, the views expressed on the Gospel of Comics do not reflect any other views. We love everybody that watches. We love everybody that doesn't. Like I said, I just thought it was funny that the SJWs have started eating their own, and that just led to a whole another level. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and play you guys out here, and it was fantastic having you. We'll see you again tomorrow night with Tales from the Back Issue Bin, Episode 1, where we're going to talk about the first appearance of the Justice League, The Brave and the Bold number 28, and Fantastic Four, Volume 1, Annual number 3, The Wedding of Sue Storm and Reed Richards. Join us tomorrow. Have a great night.
How much responsibility do you feel that you have, particularly guys the alt-right, who, as you say, some of them have enjoyed your work, and say,
No,
I'm not one of you guys. I'm not with you guys.
They haven't enjoyed my work.
I've definitely read bits on the internet.
Read more. Read more. Read more.
You've sold 2 million copies of 12 Rules for Life. You have 800,000 followers on Twitter, 1.4 million followers on YouTube. What is it that you're selling that so many people want to buy?
I don't think I'm selling anything. Selling anything. I don't think I'm selling anything. Selling anything. Selling anything. I don't think I'm selling anything. Selling anything.
So people are willing to pay a lot of money to see you speak. You know, what is it that you think that people are hungry for? They want to hear from you.
They're hungry for a discussion of the relationship between responsibility and meaning. Responsibility and meaning. Responsibility and meaning. The relationship between responsibility and meaning. We have had that discussion in our culture for 50 years. 50 years. We've concentrated on rights and privileges and freedom and impulsive pleasure. Those are all useful in their place, but they're shallow, and that's not good. Shallow, because they're shallow. If people are moored shallowly, then storms wreck them, and storms come along. So I'm talking to people about how they can build a foundation underneath, and that works. Storms come along, so read more.